Okay. Welcome to Automating DNS, DHCP, and IPAM with Maestro. I'm Lauren Malhoit. I'm the Director of Technical Content at Men&Mice. I'll be running you through this quick, probably 10-minute demo. We're probably going to need every bit of 10 minutes today. We've got a lot packed in. This is all very informal, so please feel free to ask questions or make comments in the comments section, and I'll try to get to those in real time. Today, we're going to go over how we can build dashboards, build reports through the Maestro API. So if you're not familiar with Maestro, we are a DNS, DHCP, and IPAM overlay and orchestration solution. So because Maestro is a DDI overlay, it makes it such a great solution to use in your automation practices because it essentially gives you a standardized API for your entire DDI environment. Whether your workloads reside, in the cloud or on premises at a colo somewhere, again, we're just that standardized GUI or standardized API, as we'll see in just a moment today. Now, like I said, we do have a ton to get into, so I'm going to kind of jump right to it. First, we're going to start in Postman here. We'll be spending a lot of our time making API calls via Postman today. The first one is just a really simple call. Now, a lot of these are just really simple calls, but they're meant to show kind of the creative ways in which we can use Postman to get some information quickly in real time. And then, of course, you can build on that either by making these a little bit more complex, going deeper, or by just using them in different parts of the DNS, DHCP, and IPAM infrastructure. So this first one is just finding DHCP servers. And really, we're just making a get call to DHCP servers. I don't have anything in the body. There are no parameters. All I'm doing is making a call to request those servers. Now, if I pull that up a little bit, you can see here it's given me a list of all of my DHCP servers. It's giving me some information, some IP address information. What I want you to take note of here is that the state is listed. And for most of these, the state is listed as okay. That's fantastic. We like the word okay. I want to show you how I'm using this now to do some reporting, to do some quick checks. So essentially, what I've created are some functions in the test portion of Postman. You can see I'm checking the method is called DHCP service is okay. You can name it whatever you like. This is just arbitrary name. However, right here, we're checking to make sure that the response body that we get back includes the word okay, or maybe it includes the word unreachable or DHCP service down. Those would be, bad in a lot of cases, right? But we do have a list then of the possible states that your DHCP service could be showing through Maestro. And I just got all of this information through public documentation of our APIs. So now if I look at the test results, I can see that the DHCP service is okay has passed. So for all, I forget, 6 or whatever of my DHCP servers, they all say okay. None of them said unreachable. None of them said DHCP services down. So that failed because we didn't find that text in there anywhere. Obviously, there's a lot of possibilities you can do with this simple code snippet. And the other cool thing about that is that I really didn't have to know how to code anything. I just looked in this little snippets area and I looked for response body contains a string. And I just clicked on that. It copied and pasted it over for me. And I literally just gave it a name and chose which words I wanted it to include, like okay, like unreachable. So real easy to get started with. Let's move down to my reporting collection here now. Now, these first 4 here, they're real simple. I'm going to jump through them, but then I'm going to show you how I'm using them to avoid errors and to just make things all around more convenient and easier for me. So again, just doing some really simple things, getting an IP range. So essentially, I am looking at IP range 2731, 1.1.1.0/30 is the IP range that falls under that. And I'll show you how I got there in just a second. Uh, Something that is really helpful just individually in and of itself is this API call just to get access info. So if you want to find out who has permissions, what those permissions are, allow, deny to what exactly in a granular sense do they have permissions to, you can just go ahead and make this real easy call for access information. So this gives me all of that access information. I can send that to my auditors, send that to management, do some maybe troubleshooting there. So again, really easy to get that information. I can also do things like get used IPs. So again, it's just a request URL. I didn't have to fill out anything in the body. Just looking for this IP range to see what's used and what's free. And it makes sense. There are 4 IPs in a /30. I have one used, 3 free. So helpful information in there. And then I can search for a specific IP address and get information within that range as well. So this starts crossing over into DNS records as well. If I want some more DNS information attached to some of the IP addresses in this range, we can do some crossing over. Now, the way that I've done all this is where kind of automation comes in, right? Is in the collection itself, I've gone to variables and I've created a variable called ref and I've given it the value 2731. Now, 2731, if you'll remember, that is the reference object of this particular IP range. I could have put in 1.1.1.0/30 if I wanted, and that would have worked as well. But I'm going to stick with the reference object for this example. Now you can see in the variables, in the parameters for each of these calls, I've called the variable ref, which I just showed you, an environment variable, right? So in this case, it is looking for a required key of range ref, and I've given it the value ref. Now I could have just put in 2731, but by making it a variable, I can now really easily change it for the entire collection all at one time, just doing it once. So if I dive into get used IP, ranges and I look at parameters there, again, I've specified that value of ref. So every time I just change it for the collection, that applies it to the entire collection, which means that, there's no human error. It means that it's just easier, it's faster. And so now I have kind of I'm building an automation to do some error checking, some sanity checking for me. The last one in this collection is the ranges dump. Now, I talked to customer care about this particular session this week, right? What are customers looking for? And a lot of people just want to see all of their IP ranges printed out, and they want to be able to put that either in their documentation, again, hand that over to an auditor, to other teams. So there's all sorts of use cases. So I've just created a real simple get command with the request URL that ends in ranges. And there's no body here. The params that I've used, there are no parameters. So it literally just tells me all of my IP ranges in my environment. The only test I'm doing is to check that the status code is 200, okay, which, obviously we do have. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is to also show you that there is a real easy way now to export all of this. So I can simply save this to a file and it creates kind of a generic file that will look like this. So this is a JSON file in JSON format. Well, that's not really that helpful in and of itself, right? I can just convert that JSON information, that response body, directly into a spreadsheet and parse through the information any way I want, have the information on hand. All of this, of course, is documented, built in to Maestro into the GUI, but sometimes you just need it documented on paper. And so this is a really easy way to do that. Okay, so let's jump over then. We've kind of finished with what I wanted to show in Postman. I do want to mention, of course, now we can run this collection if we wanted by just simply clicking on Run Collection. You can save the responses if you want. Likely, if you're trying to get the information from all of these, or even just from those first 4 that all use that same ref variable, you will want to save the responses, and then you just run reporting. And so now I can see that everything has passed. That's fantastic. And I can see the response body in here. Okay, let's jump over quickly now What I want to show is how you can actually use PRTG. I know probably a lot of you are using PRTG monitoring within your environments already. What I love about dashboards is that they give really great information at a glance. What I don't love about dashboards is that people seem to want every single software solution to have a dashboard, and therefore you never look at them because you can't look at every single dashboard. When we can use the APIs to use the same dashboards and really contextualize that information, that's when they become so powerful, right? So it's awesome that I can get DNS, DHCP, and IPAM information all from Maestro. There's some contextualization going on in there, but if I can use the same monitoring tools that I use for my network routers and switches and firewalls and my servers and get all of that information into one dashboard, that is what's going to be most powerful. So Simon Bell over at Peisler wrote up a nice blog a few months ago about how PRTG and Maestro work together. And this is the blog that I followed to create sensors of my own, to monitor my own environment, right? So there are several sensors that that Peisler have created. Um, these are templates that you can download and just add into your own PRTG environment. So basically, I've gone ahead and I've done some of the work up front here, and I've created a device which is Maestro. Essentially, all that is, giving it an IP address or an FQDN so that it knows where to go for information. And I've created three different custom REST sensors. So these use the APIs within Maestro and then give you the information in a dashboard view. So if I take a look at, let's say, one of these, I I can see available as I can see response times. Let's go back to maybe the DNS servers because I'll show you how that gets created. Sorry, I am on the VPN here, so it's a little slow, but we can see, we do have 11 DNS servers. That's fantastic. We would see that in the Maestro Web UI as well. In order to create a new one, then I can just go back into my device and I can add a sensor. Now, this is so easy. PRTG makes it really easy. I can just do a search for REST, literally. Click on that REST custom button. It'll prepare it for me, give it whatever name I want. This is just a simple get command like we did in Postman. Fill it out for my environment. We're using basic authentication in my demo environment. And then this REST query, this is where you use the APIs. So you see I've made a query to get DNS servers here. All I have to do is copy this path then. Just the appended path. I don't even have to do the prefix because that's already been specified when I created the Maestro device. And then I choose the template. And so we look for DNS servers. This kind of tells it how to read the API information. And then I just go ahead and click create. Um, that's all I have for this week. I can see I'm already a few minutes over time. I did want to mention we won't be here next week. We will be at Cisco Live. I've worn my Cisco sweatshirt just for the occasion. So please join us at booth, I think 3163. Come find us at Cisco Live. If you're not there in person, we'll be updating our socials, updating through blogs. Let us know if you are looking for any more information, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, everyone.